Okay.
We're here once again with the Clarify podcast.
Welcome to the Clarify
We have to talk very
podcast.
quietly in our podcast voices. NPR.
I hope.
Huh?
I hope.
Right.
Yeah. NPR would be awesome.
That'd be fun.
Hi, NPR.
Hello.
Also, hi, everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Cass. This is Aaron.
Hi.
We've already been yapping at you a lot, but
So much yapping.
welcome to Clarify. It's candle time,
It is candle time.
and it's spooky outside. You can't tell.
It is spooky. It was just raining.
Yeah, it's spooky if the light was out. So it's still spooky in my book.
There you go.
Fun fact,
Dark nighttime is spooky.
the candle that this song was written about was an orange candle.
There you go. We've got representation.
Love it. Yeah, well, we can just jump right in. I'm
Let's
good
jump
with that.
in.
I would love to tell you guys a little bit about this. So yeah, in Echoes, we finally got to like, okay, scene one, you know, we're in the story, the journey is starting. I mentioned and explained a little bit about Boy that I had crush on. At this point, Boy and I were dating, and he had gone home for Christmas. I can't really think about like what timeline. I think it was the following Christmas. You know how I mentioned like we did the February show, like the first show that we played, in which I had to then write Echoes for.
Right.
I think it may have been that same year, maybe a year after. Who knows? Whatever. Still close enough. And he gave me this nice little candle, and this.
Oh, the candle was a gift.
Yeah, the candle was a gift
Love
from
that. That's right.
my boyfriend at the time, and a heated blanket, which is awesome. And
Cozy presents.
yeah, but what sucked is that we lived pretty close to each other. Like, I lived close to Cincinnati and he lived in Dayton, and yet there were no plans over this 2-week break to see each other. I don't think.
As in, that was a problem for you?
Yeah, it was Christmas time. We had no work. We were only an hour away from each other.
And you didn't make an effort and he didn't make an effort?
Well, I wasn't going to say anything. Codependent, riddled person. And he just was like, never like, hey, we should hang out over break. It was kind of this unwritten understood. Thus, I had the dark and twisties in my stomach and I was feeling like crap. But of course, I wouldn't say anything. So instead, I write a song. But something that was going on in our relationship, again, which I would just never dare to address, is that, like, you know, I knew that there is still some complications, maybe not necessarily relationally, but just like interpersonally between my ex-boyfriend and his ex-girlfriend. But we never really like addressed it. I just knew that was kind of there for him and
Classic
whatever.
issue.
So all of those things were kind of on my mind, and I just had this like dark feeling as I'm like looking at this candle over Christmas break, like waiting for texts and hoping that he's going to want to hang out
being
for
the
me.
one to text first?
No,
Come on.
I mean, maybe, but like, gosh, no, it was all games and dishonest, whatever. And I just felt like, damn, like we're probably going to break up. You know what I mean?
And this was, you had just started dating?
No,
It had been a
that had been
while.
like a little bit, you know,
Okay,
like
got you,
you
got
should
you.
be talking about stuff, but we just weren't, of course, whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, so I don't know how I got to this. I think the last person that I dated before that, when we broke up, I totally like villainized him, which may or may not have been warranted. But you know, when you do that, when you're
Sure.
like,
I
all
mean,
of a
it's
sudden
like-
that person is just all
like
bad.
a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
You have to like push it away. Right. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
So I was like, you know, if this relationship is going to come to an end, which it probably will, I'm just going to tell myself that I won't like villainize him the same way that I did last time, which is,
That's weirdly
fucked
present
up.
though, in some way though.
yeah.
It's weirdly like present, but it's fucked up to think like, if we break up, I'll do this.
Yeah. And I'm just writing these songs, having no conversations
Yeah.
with my
Yeah, that's
boyfriend.
definitely fucked up.
Whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's funny because I think at this time I may have been just barely introduced to the idea of codependency.
Right, which is makes sense in our lineage of our chronology of the
Correct.
record, you know.
Yeah. So, you know, I wrote this song while trying to be honest with myself for the first time.
Right.
Truly honest, not like the honest that we had in Echoes, which was like delusionally honest, but trying to be fully honest. But it's hard. You can't just like win the game immediately. So I was coming to terms with the fact that it would probably end, but you know, it's really hard. And there was still this resistance to just fully rip that Band-Aid off and like, you know.
You think what was the idea that you were resisting doing something about it too? Because of the codependency?
I knew that I probably should talk to him.
Yeah.
I knew that I probably should do these bigger gestures.
Yeah.
But instead, I'm just trying to be honest with myself in these stupid small ways. Like, yeah, this is probably not a good relationship. I'm not actually doing anything about it. Except for staring at this orange candle being sad writing a song.
Yeah.
That I brought to band practice.
With the guy.
Yeah, later on, like, again, hoping that he'd figure it out. How are you supposed to do that? You can't. I'm awesome and stereotypical. Okay, so in relation to just like this song's like overall narrative purpose, it's pretty much just like, I kind of want to change, but I kind of don't want to change because it's too hard. It's hard. Step up to the plate.
Change is hard.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, a lot of what I just spoke about covers the lyrical narrative. It's this like halfway coming to terms with like, oh yeah, like I think it's gonna end, but I don't want it to. But even if it does, I promise that I'll still like hold on to the good memories and not manipulate them, I suppose. And it's also kind of that thing where, you know, when you first start like going to therapy and then you learn some stuff and then it's like, well, if I can admit to stuff, that it starts to feel good. It feels like progress.
Sure.
But admitting to stuff is not the same thing as actually taking action. It's like a fool's way of like satiating that like need to do better. I want to do better, but I'm kind of doing better because at least I'm starting to see things clearly. Right. But you're not doing better if you're. It's intellectualization.
Yeah.
Which I'm amazing at also.
Right.
Like, I understand it. See? Great. Right. No. Yeah. That's what was starting to happen for here.
And was this about the codependency in particular, or was it more just the relationship state, the state of it?
Kind of both. Like, I was seeing how the relationship was not good. Like, the way that I was participating in the relationship was not healthy. And that was from codependency, but also just the relationship didn't need to be happening for many different reasons too. Like, he's a great guy, but us at that time together, stupid, you know?
Right. So
that's kind of what the lyrics are saying. And then the end is kind of like I give up because it's too hard. Yeah, I've always kind of thought, like, looking back at these lyrics, they honestly don't make a lot of sense. They are all over the place, but I do think that the reason that I stuck to them as they are is because it's still just an honest representation of how I was thinking and the actual thought process that I had at the time. Which was like, let's just be a little honest.
There's a truth to that, authenticity to delivering that.
Yeah. Which is why then the musical narrative, I always wanted it to just kind of be spooky. Like, the harmony's kind of spooky. I always thought of this one just as, I have that little tree picture that I'll show you guys. It's just dark and foggy and not a good place to be, you know? So the musical narrative does a lot of, it does some heavy lifting in regards to telling the story, because the lyrics are just kind of like splatter painting what was going on.
Yeah. And it
doesn't tell any cohesive story.
Ominous too, and except for the ending, which we'll talk about, you know, it's like there's a purity to the ending, which is actually like part of the point too.
True.
You know?
Truly. Which brings us to the duality. I love this one, especially coming off of Echoes yesterday, the delusion versus honesty. Now that we have a name for the monster that is codependency, we can have liberation.
Right.
Because we can be liberated from something now that we know about it. But something that you could do once you can name a problem is also just like bend the knee, aka self-sabotage.
Right.
Which is why we have liberation versus self-sabotage for this one, which
liberation
is perfect.
Liberation versus self-sabotage. I think that's great. Liberation versus self-sabotage, because it's also, when we get to the tune, there's a comfort in liberation, and there's
there's comfort in both.
There's comfort in both, but like one of them is like hidden, and they're kind of both hidden. You know, it's like liberation, but from the truth.
Right.
You know, in some way. Self-sabotage, but because you're not facing the truth too. Like, it's interesting how different dimensions it kind of works in.
if we want to zoom all the way to the end, the duality for clarity is what you're hinting at, which is necessary suffering versus unnecessary suffering.
Yeah.
But we don't have the sight to see that yet.
Yes, exactly. And
we can just see one thing is good and one thing is bad, but one thing is hard and the other thing is instant gratification.
Yeah, I think this duality is definitely like from the third person. You know, it's just like, look at this character. They could be liberated from this situation they're in, but they're self-sabotaging themselves, you know?
It's pretty simple, too.
Yeah.
So
totally.
I think that's good.
Absolutely.
With it being early on. We haven't learned.
No learning. That will come.
Yeah, so tell me what you thought about this one when you got it first, because I remember when we had our onboarding, this was actually one that you messed with first. Yeah,
there was something about this one seemed somewhat, I don't know if like realized was the word, but some of the production elements that were there in the version were just spoke very clearly, I think. They just like said something very distinct as far as like stylistically what it needed to be, or close to what it needed to be. And also as a drummer, I think I was, you know, it was clear to me that this song needed to be led by that presence.
Totally.
So I just like took the drums that were there at the time and put a bunch of delay on them and I don't know, gravitated towards messing with it. Because a lot of the other tunes, they were in like more raw states. And this was in a raw state too, but it just seemed like it was trying to go for something that seemed very clear to me. I think it was just like a moment of just like instinctual awareness. I think some other stuff on the vocals maybe, just like put it into this kind of weird esoteric drum and bass kind of place. And that was kind of before we like really explicitly talked about how like the drum and bass vibe was going to be like the guiding light behind a lot of this sort of.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I always knew that this one was going to be like, I wanted it to have that drum and bass feel. I don't know if I like
super explicit conversations where we have all the huge onboarding and all this stuff. It was like right at the beginning, maybe.
Right.
Or maybe you did mention it, and I just was like, oh yeah, let's go with it. But I think it was very, you know, organic the way it happened.
Yeah. Sweet. So that was easy to kind of agree on.
Yeah.
It was nice that you were like, hey, I'm on this page, and I'm like, I'm also there. No way. We don't have to have some massive like coming to find common ground or like what does this song need to be. It was
just needed a little bit more. Like the drums just were not quite as energetic as they could be. The VGVs just needed to be like really intense in your face.
Yeah.
It just needed more energy behind them, what was already there.
More energy. And then I was craving this like spook factor.
Yeah,
that was super important to me, and I think that is something that I did need to convey to you, like more than the obvious drum and bass feel was like, okay, but this one needs to feel like that picture. Feel. Yeah, there needs to be something that's hazy and misty and lurky and creepy in the background.
Yeah, which we'll get into when we go through the song.
Yeah, and then the other just kind of more like on the nose thing was the ending seemed pretty short to you. Which was a common thread through all of these songs. Where you're like, why is your song so short? All of my songs were like 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
Yeah, so many of them were exactly that length. Which
unintentionally.
Is like,
this had to be one of them.
But yeah, I mean, maybe it was. But it was funny. Like, there were many tracks. It was like, wow, I wonder why that is. Similar tempos, maybe similar formal structures.
Potentially.
That's my only thought.
But. Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe that's my limit.
Yeah, it just like doesn't. Maybe it's an attention thing. Yeah.
My tiny little pea brain just as a girl. I just can't write more than 3 minutes and 15 seconds. I'm just stuck in pop world forever.
Pop world forever.
I'm joking. In case you didn't know. But yeah, that was a cool thing, and I was just like, no. I think I had some resistance to this. Most of the time when you were like wanting to extend the outro.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm like, that's kind of a weird melody. It is still a weird melody and a weird place for me to sing.
The phrasing is interesting. Yeah.
Phrasing's interesting. I was just like, I don't know, but I'm so glad.
Yeah,
I'm so glad that you did that.
It goes on a journey now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you said this. It's like a backhanded arrival.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was talking about before, where it's like you expect it after all this energy in the song. Like, where are we going to go? Well, we didn't want to go more.
Yeah.
Like, because the song is like, I think I talked about this, like I call it like Tokyo Drift. It's like you're zooming down like at a very high speed down this mountain. There's turns and turns and turns and turns and turns, but like the fogginess from that tree picture and the light is just only shining on the road right in front of you. It's like, that's the experience. Okay, so where do you then go if that's that constantly deceptive thing? Well, it's like thinking about salience in the other direction.
Right.
Let's go to the familiar. And now suddenly it becomes this focused thing, and there's a discomfort to that, and like a false sense of comfort, which is like, you know, this impression of liberation, right? Self-sabotage to me is like more of the first part of the song.
Yeah.
And the second song is like liberation in some ways, because it's like this sense of regular, recurring, like it's more plotting, it's more kind of together, it's more predictable, it grows at a regular rate. So I think that's, you know,
that's funny, because I feel like that's contrary to what the lyrics are doing.
I think it works backwards too. Oh yeah, lyrically I think it's definitely,
because lyrically the beginning is like when I'm trying to be honest and like I'm trying to have this
searching for
I'm figuring it out, and then the end is like,
but you're self-sabotaging you.
The end is defeat. It's literally saying like, uncovered and open, I will never be.
Yeah.
I will never be.
Yeah, and I think that juxtaposition, because like you're searching and searching and searching, and it's almost like the music is your subconscious self-sabotaging you at all these corners, right?
Dude, we're learning so much already.
Know, right?
We're not even in the song.
And at the end, it's like you're defeated.
Yeah, but it's comfortable.
But what do you do when you're defeated? You go back into comfort zone territory.
Yeah.
You know
and so it's just, we're simmering there.
I'm all thrown off. I need to grab onto something, right?
Totally.
So it's like music is simple in a very neutral way. It's not really happy. It's not really sad. Like the music is fairly neutral at the end. You know, it grows, it goes somewhere. But anyway, and then there's a little outro thing. Which
we'll unpack as we go.
Unpack.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, what are some big dimension stuff?
Well, what sticks out to me is our discovery of the relationship between the BGV arrangement and the string arrangement. I remember toiling with this one. I had already like written that BGV arrangement, and we pretty much kept it. We didn't change anything. Yeah,
I don't remember. There was a couple tunes where we really reworked some of the BGV stuff, but this one I feel like probably not.
Yeah, it's cool.
This one I had to get from Ian like later on.
Yeah.
I get the stems back, which means like I just had one stem that had the whole BGV arrangement on it for a long time.
And the harmony's weird. The harmony's super weird.
Yeah, really, there's a lot of really, really dense vocal writing in this.
Yeah. So like once we got those stems back and we could actually hear it, I remember like it was like my assignment for the week to start digging in on string stuff. And it was such a weird, I just hadn't encountered a situation like that where it was like, okay, I don't have any like first instinctive ideas. Like I was really just kind of stuck, because usually I would come to you with something and I got far, like I would at least get like through a whole verse or something that was like a whole chunk. And I just remember being like, I don't know. I kind of don't know. And there's too much going on already is what it felt like, even though it was just drums, like the original drums, which there wasn't too much going on. It was just kind of steady. We had bass, we had mini log, and my keys. Yeah. We didn't really have a lot of stuff. And then it was just vocals. And I loved this. You were just like, here's the plan. We extrapolate the string part based off of the BGV arrangement.
Yeah, look to what you always have.
And they're already, and I was like, oh my God, duh.
Oh my God, duh.
Oh my God, duh.
Yeah, no, totally. It's all just like, when you're stuck, there's a lot of different things you can do. And one of them is look at what exists in front of you already and pull something from it.
Oh my God. And like, do you know how many times I think about that now? It's like, if there isn't another, this is how think thoughts can just go along with intuition. You know what I mean?
Sure.
My thinking thoughts versus like, I just feel this way.
Yeah.
I wasn't hearing anything new.
Yeah.
And then instead of thinking, I just hadn't had that realization yet. I was thinking I'm wrong because I can't come up with another part. Like I'm all tapped out. The well is empty. Not, Well, it's probably because it's already there somehow.
Yeah.
I
You
like-
might be trying to shove some new thing into
Yeah, you
what-
don't
where you-
always need to have more
most
stuff.
of the time you don't need to have more stuff.
Correct.
Which is then people are listening to this record and be like, but it's so dense. Well,
we
like,
can
part
relate
of that-
everything to everything.
Yeah, part of that is like it's kind of supposed to be dense. Sometimes you go to, like, we've used movie analogies, we've used fast food analogies. You know, it's like
Right.
sometimes you want one thing, sometimes you want another thing, and this was
Right.
this was a fine dining experience. This was a 3-hour Lord of the Rings thing.
Right.
you
But
know?
it's all justifiable.
Mhm.
Everything.
justifiable. Intention.
Fight us. Come ask us
Come at
questions.
us.
We'll give you answers.
Yeah.
Whatever. So yeah, that was a cool thing. And then another just like large thing is I don't know when I started using this language, but I was like, the spookiness feels to me like a Dementor.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like you're in the woods and this monster, codependency, is following you. And I loved just calling it Dementor from then on out.
Yeah, I mean that imagery really helps with production and tension.
And
too.
it wants to suck your soul. It
Mhm.
wants to make you not you. Codependency.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
And it's meandering all about the texture in this tune.
Yeah. So having that synthesizer represent the Dementor-sizer.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just the perfect thing to do.
Yeah, I remember saying, or sort of thinking about it like it's kind of chasing the BGVs in a way.
It does.
Like it's, the BGVs are leaving spaces and it's coming in and out and it's trying to follow it. And
Yeah.
it's really interesting because the BGVs are so clearly you. There's an
Yeah.
interesting relationship there.
Totally. Ooh, we'll get there.
Mhm.
Just you wait. And then, it's cool that the past 3 songs that we've had the synthesizers really actually represent characters.
Yeah, there's
You
a lot
know?
of character representation. There's like string
There is.
melodies that represent characterization and,
Ooh,
and all
eventually.
textures and all this stuff in other songs too.
Yeah. So it's like right now in this song, synthesizers, Dementor, and Speck of Dust, our little synthesizer was a little speck of dust floating away.
Mhm, mhm.
And then in Echoes, we had our little mind snakes.
That's right, Mind Snakes.
So this is awesome. Again, unintentional, but just kind of.
Yeah, there's these through lines of using characterization is another thing I talked about with my students when it's like when you're
Yeah.
stuck or what do you do or you're writer's block or it's like start thinking of your narrative and like characterize things.
Right.
What does that character do now?
Right.
Not the synth, but what does the character do? And when you find out what the character needs to do, that might be like, oh, musically, I need to do this then. You know?
Really, yeah. And that thought process is really just getting you to hone in on what is your intention.
The intention. Yeah, 100%.
Anything that you can do to get that is the gold.
Yes.
Tell us about reverse salience.
Well, the reverse salience thing is kind of what I was mentioning before about how like we begin a lot of this song is about deception, like consistently, right? And we give the listener that familiarity at the end, right? Like we were talking about with that emotional place of, celebrating that duality and really trying to hone in on that duality. It's really just typically salience might find its way to the listener by establishing familiarity first. It's like allow the listener to become familiar with the environment they're actually living in and then start to change what that environment means.
Right.
But at this point, it's like overstimulation, intrusive thoughts, right?
Mhm.
And then it's like you've been defeated by intrusive thoughts or your subconscious is trying to be comforted by like, okay, I can't deal with that anymore. Like whatever
Right.
you want to call the ending and however that feels to you. Like it's sort of a slightly opposite pathway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost double because we have that long extended section and then we get that thing that you sampled.
Oh, the little ending bit.
That's even just
Yeah.
a cherry on top. We'll get there.
Yeah.
All right. You ready
Here we
to
go.
jump in the song?
Into the formal pathway.
What is that TV show where they jump in? Is it Zaboomafoo? We were talking about that yesterday.
We were talking about Zaboomafoo. Is it that?
They like land wherever they're going to land. That's how I imagine us. We're like just
Maybe it is Zaboomafoo.
landing in the song.
I honestly don't remember.
I'll do my research.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we have the introduction, pretty simple start. Let's hear it. Yeah. I mean, right away, I like when these songs, it's cool to me to hear like what I wrote just sitting alone in my room kind of like stands. When I hear the song, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's pretty much what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was just alone with the roads and
It just has stuff around it.
It just has stuff, which is so many good things. Like I love the distortion on the Rhodes because that already gives it this like.
It's also very tiny. It has a lot of the bell. You know, in a Rhodes, like what makes a Rhodes is it has these like metal tines in it, and the way they ring, they get like these upper overtones that can kind of sound like bell tony kind of. And they add a lot of complex sound to the natural sound of the Rhodes, like what makes it sound like itself.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that sound has a lot of that in there too, which gives it just this kind of creepy thing from the overtones. It's a little creepy. And
it's almost like the duality is right there from the jump with the harmony. Let me explain. We have this crunchiest chord of all time, which is pretty like Phrygian sounding. Discomfort or whatever. Like that could be the self-sabotage. Liberation.
Right, it's straight up major. You know? Right, it's so funny that it is that straight up major.
Yeah, and then it's like these are kind of nice.
A little more colorful and more neutral.
A little bit more colorful, a little bit more neutral, a little bit more like the comfort of staying complacent is winning.
Yeah,
that we have one chord that's tough, but it totally colors everything else because you start with that. You don't forget by the time that chord comes around that this crunchiness, this weirdness is there, you know?
Yeah, especially because you repeat the chord progression a few times.
Yeah, for sure.
Or 2 times, you know, a couple times at the beginning.
Yeah. The other stuff that I love that we just get right off the bat that helps kind of set the tone is the Dementor synth. Can we hear that by itself? Yeah, the Dementor
stuff by itself is like pretty much almost immediately from the top is present.
Because it's in the whole rest of the song pretty much. Floats in and out.
Yeah.
I love that it's that straight tone in the middle, and then it's like you can see the wispiness around it. It's like it's perfect.
Yep.
And then we get our fun little wind chimes.
Yeah, so later there'll be we decided to kind of take a very straightforward approach to like a text painting moment, and I had liked so much what the texture had done that I wanted to kind of foreshadow that texture. So and it also, I think the texture adds to the discomfort, it adds to like the sort of environmental spookiness.
Ooh, yeah, it puts you outside.
Yeah.
You don't hear creepy wind chimes inside.
Yeah, and it's also, they're manipulated in a lot of ways too.
Right.
They have a lot of shit going on in them, echo and reversed and like all this other stuff.
So perfect.
Right, like you can tell they're wind chimes, but they're also manipulated in a way.
So they're gonna strike you as like weird, creepy. Something's off.
Yeah, it's almost normal, but it's not.
Right. Yeah. And then once we get to the verse, the strings become so important, so fast.
Super present. I love the like almost like it's like very classical, you know, like the unison. I don't have the scores in front of me right now, but I think it's like cello viola unison, which is like always like really, it's just like it has this like warmth and this width to it.
Super rich.
And it's very rich. Yeah, great players that played with us. I can't remember who was on that day, though.
We can figure it out.
There will be liner notes somewhere. Yeah. You will be able to find them for those of you listening are like, that was me playing on that day.
Yeah. But everything else is pretty similar to the texture of the intro. However, we have the addition of strings and my voice.
So we get into it fairly smoothly.
Yeah.
And your lyric there too is very anticipating too. It's like, was it what could come true is in there, and that's, you know, just like asking a question like that. It's also foreshadowing to other moments on the record too, which I think is really great.
Yeah, pretty straightforward, which is why, I mean, I'm trying to think of what else could I say about it, but it's like, you know, I'm sitting there looking at this candle feeling sad. And so I'm like, fine. I guess sometimes I have this attitude, which is just like, fine, you're going to give me that. Well, then I'm going to take it and make it into something. Like, it almost is like a ha-ha. What Echoes was a ha-ha.
Like the Muse, you mean?
No, these boys.
Oh, the boys. I see what you mean. Like literally.
It feels like my way of standing up for myself or retaliating or something. It's really childish.
I mean, but art does that though. I mean, you like go to those places in art.
I know, but I'm just like, ugh, you're ridiculous.
Jesse talks about this in his music all the time, about how his music is just like this like childish, like pent up kind of energy that's just like, wah.
Yeah.
But like you know, you should be able to kind of go to art and experience what you need to experience to get it to happen, you know?
Yeah, it is just kind of funny because I was like, I don't know. I remember having these chords for a while too. I had them. And then I was like, oh, this feels like this. So I was like, okay, give me a little candle. I light the candle. I want to feel happy that you gave me this candle.
Yeah.
I think of you. It's literally light a little candle. I think of you and how I might handle what could come true. Like I'm trying to be happy. You gave me this present, but actually I'm not happy. And now I'm just like, yeah, how will I handle it if we break up? Trying to be honest.
Yeah. It's fairly straightforward actually.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's why I could never change the lyrics. And then we have this weird break, which we're calling the interludes.
Interlude 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where a lot of new things happen. You know, the drums enter, for example, and that they enter in a very substantial way. Like up until now, there was no sense of rhythm other than the Rhodes, right? And the Rhodes is pretty predictable. Bum, 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 bum. It's like pretty simple rhythm. Although this whole section is very deceptive, the song still starts in an air of familiarity.
Yeah.
But then one thing is said, and then we're immediately like off to the races.
Right.
And even when the drums come in, they're not even coming in on a downbeat. They're doing, it's like this roll 2, 1, 2, 3, right? It's like it really is like already just jolting us and becoming disorienting.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm just putting together now too? The more that I think about it, it's kind of funny. I don't really relate to feeling angry like hardly ever.
Oh my God, me too.
I never say that. I never
Really?
like feel it either.
Really?
Yeah, it usually manifests somewhere else. Like if I'm mad about something, then really I'm just sad. You know, like it funnels into somewhere else.
Yeah, like I definitely feel that too. I feel like I've had these conversations with my wife Chloe and with other friends, and like I don't know where it comes from, but you know, or maybe I do. But it's definitely right. I feel like anger is not an emotion that I always feel is like a productive emotion. But then a therapist will be like, yeah, but like are feelings supposed to be productive? Like, and that's the way I think, right? I'm like, I'm always like problem solving, and it's like, well, if that's not useful or productive, I shouldn't be feeling it. Yeah. You know?
I think
which isn't obviously the most healthy thing in the world, but
no. But now I'm putting it together. What I was actually feeling
is anger.
I was like, what the heck? You gave me some presents. You don't want to hang out with me, whatever. And I always knew that middle section, I knew it. There's something about this song that needed to be heavy and like bombastic. I am literally, as we speak, putting together.
Wow.
It's anger.
Yeah. That's great. That's so cool that we keep discovering these new things.
Like how simple though.
It is that, and like it's funny because like I'm playing drums on this section.
Yeah.
And this is actually a blend of me and Dan Sauls on drums, like doing some other layers. But I definitely am, when I play drum set, I'm very I'm just kind of a grandiose person sometimes, and like drum set definitely brings that out of me. And I definitely dig in and probably like channeled like a lot of catharsis during this. So it's not too different. Even for me, it's aesthetic, and it might just be like the style. There's anger. I mean, not that catharsis is anger, but there's an aggression to catharsis that's maybe similar to anger.
You just did it again. You related to the thing that you feel after anger and releasing, which is catharsis. Right. But really, it's so.
But I wasn't
so
angry,
funny. But this song welcomes it, right? Because it's like I want the listener to be splatted in the face with the entrance of this drum.
Yes.
You can't help but to be like, okay.
Yeah.
Like we're wholeheartedly
digging into that,
embodying that. So I mean, these sections, I do think now that we wrote this whole podcast, and I'm like, actually, this is what it is. Those sections are supposed to be like
these interludes,
like a cesspool of the chaos and the emotions and everything that I think that I do a really good job of suppressing it, for better or for worse, who knows. But it is a level of release, which is, one could say, a form of liberation.
Yeah,
interesting.
True. And you said release. That's coming up a couple songs away.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
Very
but I
interesting.
mean, play a little bit of that interlude
Yeah, so we
section
can-
just
we
so that
can
we
count
can.
it out,
It
too.
changes so drastically, so quickly, and then we snap right back.
Yeah, here we go.
And how I might handle what could come true.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Delicate memories.
Right. And then we get into we call it verse 1B, if you want to know what we're talking about. Yeah, it's just like, it's almost a shoving, it's representative of having this small little well of emotion come up and then shoving it back down.
Absolutely, and you have the strings, which are again
Right.
derived from the vocals, doing this, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's
there's
weird.
an incessant energy to that underneath the drums, and the drums, they're distorted and they're super compressed and they're moving everywhere, and there's delay on them, and there's like filtering and EQ kind of cuts and a lot of things happening. Like the drums are very like just like all over the freaking place.
Yeah. Which then when we carry the drums through verse 1B, they're a little bit more predictable and the backbeat is more important.
Settles a little.
Yeah, but you can
Yep.
still elaborate on it because we just got that crazy thing.
What do you mean?
What do I mean? Well, I mean, they enter and they're chaos from the start, and then they stay super present in the verse,
Yes.
which we haven't had.
Yeah.
But then they're a little bit more.
Yeah, and then they're layered too, so there's other drums happening, but we get the sense of backbeat and repetition, but they're still technically produced a similar way. Still mixed kind of. They're still kind of like intense sounding, but because they're not moving as much and they're not as filtered,
Yeah.
we can still kind of ground ourselves. We can stay in this, not fully ground ourselves is what I mean. You can still kind of be like, well, it's still there. Is that going to explode again and come back out, and just like, is that feeling going to sneak up on me again? Right? Absolutely.
Which it doesn't. Instead of going back into that interlude thing, shoots us into a chorus, which is like, I have a lot of short choruses.
Yeah. No, it is
Weirdly.
interesting actually how short this is.
Like, how many bars is that?
Let's see here. Yeah, this is just 8 bars, this next section.
Yeah. Which is weird. And it's not really like a chorus. Like, I don't think this would be the part of the song that gets stuck in someone's
we call
head.
it a chorus, but even in my session here, these things are labeled A1, B1, A2, B2. That's like just like an A and a B. It's this back and forth idea. It's like, and I kind of like that the formal structure isn't so in your face. You know what I mean?
It's more of like a second ending. It's
Yeah.
like on verse 1, the one that we just did, it ends that one way. And then the second time we get it after the interlude, it just ends a different way. It's not super chorusy.
There's a pattern between these middle sections.
Yeah.
The first time the vocals come back, and then we depart, and then we come back to what the vocals are like, but then we do go to a different place.
Right.
It's really almost like this mini like rondo sensation, which is like rondo form. For those of you who don't know, is like A, B, A, C, A, D, A. We always go back to A after changing. So we feel that pattern. It's like, here we are in this comfort zone. Now we're departing. Here we are in this comfort zone. Now we're departing. Now, instead of continuing to part every other time, we do that a little bit more. We do that kind of whole structure again.
Yeah.
But we do some other things,
Yeah. However, I think that there is something to be calling it a chorus just because we treat
It
so
sounds
much of the
different.
production
Yeah.
so differently.
Yeah, it sounds different. Your vocal line is like more, I don't know, it's just like, it starts with these, it has a different kind of character to it. I think there's a distinct characterization that is changing for
It
sure.
feels distant.
Yeah, and the Dementor
like
synth
flowing
kind of has a
away.
different role too.
Yeah, it lines up.
Yeah, that's right. It lines up, and like, I think we said it's like almost like at that point, it's like trying to suck out the soul, right?
Yeah. Can we hear that actually?
Just the Dementor and
Maybe
the
Dementor vocal strings.
Yeah,
BGVs.
Let's try that. And BGVs.
Yeah.
Let's
Because
pull
I feel
it
like
up.
those are our characters at play.
Yeah, because strings and BGVs are going to be super tied together.
Right.
All twisting light when the pain comes. Ooh, pain comes.
Right, like you can hear the pitch is the same as the voice, and yeah, it's all there.
It feels like a little bit like a chase which of course it is, kind of.
I'm
if we're
actually
going
just going to solo out the Dementor synth and the vocal again one more time here.
cool.
Twist and lie when the pain comes. Ooh, pain comes.
Right, so that little line is together, but then the Dementor synth responds at the same pitch as the vocal. So
That's totally the Dementor coming down and the part where it sucks the face apart or whatever. Yeah, Dementor wins in the chorus, apparently. Yeah.
One thing that's I think really big about the drum approach in this whole tune, especially in the first half, is the improvisational aspect, right?
Yeah.
Not only does it borrow on sort of the jazz idioms that are kind of dispersed throughout your record, with the just philosophy of it, right? It's not swing, but it, what is jazz? What is jazz though, really? But seriously, it's like really one quintessential aspect of jazz, if there is any, is improvisation, right?
Yeah.
And that creates constant deception because you don't really know what's coming. Because I'm not really repeating patterns when I played this part. I'm kind of flowing in a textural experience. I'm just kind of exploring a sound and an approach and a character. I'm not really being like, I'm going to play this beat over and over again.
Right.
Right. Which is what's distinct about these B sections, these things that are outside of the chill, like these like verse things that we're calling, right?
Yeah.
That are simpler.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I also feel like I relied on bringing those jazz idioms in through other people more than myself.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of, and the nature of drums, right? Or like there's like improvisational.
Yeah, there's some nature to it, but there's a world in which the keys part for a lot of these songs didn't have to just be this like repetitive thing.
I think that was one thing that was interesting about a lot of your music is that not that you're a singer-songwriter, or what does that really mean? Maybe you are, right? Like,
yeah,
it's kind of I think of singing like a singer-songwriter is it's like a subset of composition. Composition is like making music, right? And singer-songwriters are still making music. But there's a certain aesthetic to like, I'm a vocalist who's playing an instrument that's accompanying my vocals.
Right.
And the instrument part is like, maybe if it's guitar, it's like first position chords, it's fairly straightforward. Now you're playing like more jazz inspired piano voicings and other things like that, but you feel that relationship between like, this is a part that I'm playing that's becoming a root or like a main tree trunk to the song itself.
Yeah.
And everything else is existing, maybe not so much around it, depending on the production moment, but it is kind of compositionally. If you were to notate it out, it's like, well, that's there the whole time, or that's everything is, well, that's based on the piano and that's based on the piano. It's like, it's an epicenter conceptually.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've mentioned before too, like at this point, writing was my musical comfort zone, and at this stage, I was happy to be having piano as my friend. And I also didn't have confidence in certain areas. I think at the time I probably would have really been beating myself up like, you should do more, like you should be shredding more, like blah, blah, blah. But honestly, looking back, it's like, it is really hard to, first of all, play at that level and then sing well over it. I have a hard time doing it now.
You know what I mean?
Whatever, justified.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't want that. It's too much, right? Too much texture, too much information.
Yeah. Cool. So then we have the string interlude where our fun little synth theme that we had at the beginning. Or have we had it yet?
Let's see. I think kind of.
That was awesome. No.
Yeah, it's sort of a different melody.
This quotes the verse melody.
Yeah, right.
Where this is the first time that we have this line, which honestly. Yeah, so we get that synth line for the first time, and it's funny, I just thought to myself, I'm like, why wasn't that in the beginning? And it's like, well, yeah, the Dementor synth needed its own little moment to shine in the way that it's actually interacting in the song, which is more connected to the verse melody, because it's chasing after the main character. Of course, they have to be related, where this is like a totally separate idea.
Yeah, and also we're putting something fresh to break the form, before we come back to what we're about to experience, which is what we've experienced so far, right? We've gone through this verse, transition interlude thing, verse chorus thing, and then it's like, here's this new melody with a sound that you kind of understand already, in a texture that's familiar, with the intro material in the Rhodes. There's a lot there that you remember from the intro, but the melody is going to be different. So that way we can activate the listener and be like, oh, that's kind of it's like almost a hook, right? Hooks draw us in, and we're kind of listening, and we're okay, cool. And then that will become something that shows up, kind of sneakily. Yeah. In another moment.
Yeah, we receive it in its most like powerful way, because we get it again later, but it's a little bit more defeated and puny.
Yeah, totally.
Which is interesting. So I guess this is like one of the moments where, what Dementor came in the chorus, tried, but we got him away, and now we're feeling back. Yeah, because
it's this other synth sound, right? It's not the Dementor synth anymore.
Like, that's very strong and prominent. Triumph.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, maybe we won a little bit. And now I'm ready to go back into a verse and try to be honest again.
Yeah, but immediately at the end, the Dementor synth.
Yes. Star Wars. We're not talking about Star Wars.
Why not?
Because I don't like it. Fight me.
You did not just say that.
Starting a war.
You don't like Star Wars? You can't say you don't
I'm just
like
saying
Star Wars. Don't start that. Okay. All right. The Dementor synth takes over here.
It's fighting back.
Right? Which that one's a little airier, it's a little wispier, right? It's not as like pure sounding, right?
To me, it sounds like I won and the Dementor's flying away, but it's like, I'll be back.
Yeah, which just a couple bars later, it's going to come on back.
So welcome to verse 2.
Yes.
And this is our big text painting moment, our very on-the-nose text painting moment. We had those wind chimes in the beginning. My lyric is with the sound of wind chimes. I'm just reminiscing on memories that I had with this person. And, I'm taken to Your Backyard a Summer Night. So we have them. Can we hear that?
The wind chimes?
Just everything. Yeah, the little entrance is pretty good. I would say it's pretty good.
I would say it's pretty good.
With the sound of wind chimes, I'm taken to your backyard a summer night, moving next to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And usually I wouldn't like something that blatant. I don't think.
Yeah, no, I definitely
Sometimes
think it was
it's
a
Cheeseball
very,
USA.
very like distinct decision. For things that blatant, sometimes being blatant is important because it offers familiarity. Like one thing, one of my favorite bands of all time, Incubus, the lead singer Brandon Boyd, he uses a lot of cliche in his, like, scattered about in his lyric, but he's an incredible poet and lyricist. Like he makes, he writes entire books of just like poetry that's so esoteric and metaphorical. But when you use a cliche or something like very colloquial, you're drawing upon that ecology of people, and that inspiration is instantly like, oh, I know what that is.
Right.
So amidst all this cacophony and all these crazy sounds and all these things, it's like, she said wind chimes and there's wind chimes. That's like kind of nice. Like
it is
if
kind
it
of
was
nice.
like a pop tune that was like 2-dimensional,
Right.
that might be like, that's kind of kitschy.
Right.
Right. But I think in this chimes it's like darker. Wind chimes are like bright and they're sort of
Right.
pretty, and we think of them as like meditative and like yoga and like
Right.
all that kind of stuff. But like it's like, it's like drums are about to come in and just destroy earths. And the wind chimes are also kind of disorienting, right? So I think there's something salient behind using that really identifiable sound, but in a way that is actually different.
Right.
And we juxtapose it with, like, you say wind chimes. Well, again, look to what you have for inspiration.
Right.
So we need to create environment. Let's find something to pull that from.
Yeah. It also just reminds, another example would be like, if you're reading a book of like dense ass poetry, and then you turn to a page. I just thought of this because our candle is burning out. And then it's something as simple as, and then the flame went out.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. It almost means more.
Sure.
Because it's surrounded by complexity.
Exactly.
If you had a whole book
Science.
of, and then the candle went out. I found a spoon. Look at the tree. Like, no, but if it's surrounded by all of this insane context, like, you can superimpose meaning on top of it.
That's what salience is.
Bro.
That's what it is.
No way, bro.
That's its essence.
Sick.
Yeah.
Saliescence.
Wow. That's too much for me
Sorry
to handle.
if I'm playing it. Too much to candle?
Oh boy.
Okay, let's keep going.
Next, we're at the verse interlude now, verse interlude 2. We're familiar with these, like we're familiar with these sounds, but things are going to be a little bit different, right? The drums are improvised, right? So they're
Right.
naturally unpredictable. The strings, they go to a different registral place, right? So like we're in a somewhat different place than before, even though it's the same general location. You know, could have just been a copy paste, but it's not. We're still meandering. We're still kind of going places.
Right. Okay. Then verse 2b, it leads into the same chorus thing. However, it is deceptive because of yet more drum stuff.
Yeah, and also when we get to the chorus in a second, that material is also different because so it's like leading to a slightly different place. Like because we're going to a slightly different place now. It is almost like I mentioned the rondo thing earlier.
Oh yeah, it is almost like
A,
that.
B, A, C the first time. Then there's an interlude.
Right.
Then it's kind of like A, B, A, like D.
D.
Yeah, so it's like kind of adjacent to like we're coming back, then we're going somewhere else. We're coming back, we're going to somewhere different.
And just to clarify, it's because the vocal melody
Exactly.
differs.
Exactly.
I don't know if we said that straight up.
Yeah, right. And we'll listen. Maybe we'll listen to the differences.
Yeah. So that kind of can call for let's have some different stuff going on as well to support it.
Yeah. One thing also, I don't know, maybe we find an opportunity when we get to the bridge ending. Yeah. After this chorus, I might want to go through. One thing that's interesting is that oftentimes the drums aren't coming in at the downbeats of these sections.
Almost never.
Yeah. And what's interesting is like I knew that, but like looking at it from a macro perspective, it's like almost every single time the drums are waiting. So there's actually starts to become a little bit of salience, like familiarity in the salient spectrum. It's like the drums are so deceptive, but it's like you can kind of rely on them to not come into the downbeat. But then what does that start to create? It starts to create an anticipation for like, but when are they going to come on or after the beat, right?
Right.
And that's like, I think it almost all leads to this like longer fill that's going to lead us to our final statement in this character. It's before we transition.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So then we get into that chorus from that long drum fill, and now it's like the peak of all this stuff. The drums are full blast, just insanity. The strings are moving. Like everyone's just like going all over the place just to finally be like, you know, if like ideological density is like what we're working towards to get to the, like this is the arrival point because we're about to, as we've said before, like the ending bridge outro type thing.
Yeah.
That's its own more focused, like repetitive environment. So we need to kind of expend all of our energy and resources for that part of the song so we can move on.
Right.
And I think that helps. It's different. Like the progression of the narrative and everything has to come to a bit of a point, right?
It's I just realized this too. Wow. So many day of discoveries.
After many hours. What did we say?
Gosh, you have no idea. 70 at least so far. We've spent on this.
Which is like kind of blows my mind.
Okay, Aaron, listen to this. Are you ready?
I don't think I'm ready.
The culminating line of this chorus is it sits perfectly in the middle of this like liberation and self-sabotage. It is I'm terrified of what I always do.
Oh yeah.
We're coming into knowing about our patterns and our bad habits and our frequently repeated mistakes.
What I always do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when I wrote it at the time, I know that I was referring to villainizing an ex-boyfriend. But again, it's this subconscious writing. I think what I was saying is like, I'm terrified of being in this position, which I always find myself in, which is I'm not with the right people. I'm not having fulfilling relationships. I'm not speaking up for myself. I was experiencing all those feelings. I just wasn't calling them by name.
Right.
And so that line is kind of nuts. If you think about
Absolutely.
It's just so honest, but it's recognizing the
But also
self-sabotage.
problematic. Yeah.
Right? I'm like, I am self-sabotaging. I am making mistakes. I am not doing the right things. I'm terrified of what I always do.
And I think that results in a defeat too. Like,
Which leads us to this
why am I
bridge.
so shitty? You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which is like, I'm terrified of what I always do. So I might as well just freaking keep on doing it because I don't think I can change. Like, change is too hard. And then we get to this lyric context of, you know, we're kind of recalling on the relationship. I know that we're not going to really, I'm playing make believe. I'm doing these certain things. And then I just repeat 2 times in a row. The only time I repeat a line twice is this, like, uncovered and open, I could never
in
be.
the bridge, in the next section.
Yeah. So, you know, this defeat, or like, this honest cry where everything is at the strongest that it's ever been. And then it's like, damn, nope, the Mint are going to win today.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we move on to the ending, I want to
Yeah.
try to highlight something here that I want to hear that. Like,
Yeah.
I want to go to each of the, I'm just going to play the top couple bars of these sections for the drums.
Ooh, yeah.
So the first one doesn't have it, but the strings come in off the downbeat, right?
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, right? Same thing here. 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3, right? So that's same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So it's really like the second bar, but now it doesn't really settle until almost the second half of that phrase, which is really wild. And then same thing in this next section. Okay, so that's a downbeat. That's interesting because that's that first sort of C, which makes this section feel a little different.
However, one could argue that, like, to me, I'm not feeling that as like a crazy strong downbeat. Like the role that you have into
because
it,
of the fill around it.
Yeah, it still is this like off-kiltered thing.
The
like,
beat
yes, it's
immediately
on
gets
one,
to the
but
syncopated place.
it's still weird.
Yeah, absolutely. And
It's probably weird to like an regular, like a little old normie listener.
Oh my god!
It's regular to the
Don't
normies.
be so mean.
Sorry.
Let's see here.
I had to pay my taxes today. I could be mean.
Okay. Yeah, and then I think it's the same for the next whole half of that first section. But more energy. Yeah, like that feels like very, very kind of like it's like really kind of delaying that arrival of like, where's the beat?
Right.
Yeah, so this is the same thing where it plays through the downbeat over the form. Yeah, it's a very passive downbeat. It just like goes by and we're immediately syncopating and the bass is bonk, bonk, right? And even here too, them like filling over the downbeat, and then it's again second or third bar of the phrase, and then this is finally the large fill that we get into the next section. 2 full bars, really 2.5. And even that kind of hits after the downbeat. Boom, like the second bar is really where the arrival comes. So it's like goes past the downbeat even.
You're nuts,
so
dude.
There's a lot of like, well, I'm just talking about the composition of it and like production wise, like what's happening. It's like, it's really stretching out those modes of anticipation because at a formal section, we expect a downbeat. Right. And we kind of did give a couple, but they were passive. So here, push it. And then we add 2 beats to lead into the bridge. 1, 2, right? So just a little bit of a delay, and then we hit this like, whoa, it's a completely different emotion.
We get to the bridge, and it's just a whole different territory. It's a whole new land.
Yes.
It's a whole new world.
Mm-hmm. Whole new world.
And what's interesting is that this section of the song, which one might feel like they're getting to this outro, which it is kind of.
Right, at
outro
the moment,
bridge,
yeah, you don't know what you're in for.
but it's like a whole third of the song, which is
Absolutely.
notable.
It is notable because I think one thing we actually discovered this when we were preparing for the podcast is that this point actually hits almost exactly at this golden ratio point. What's, you know, some people out there might know of the golden ratio, but maybe we'll kind of briefly kind of break it down, right? So for those of you who don't know, the golden ratio is like inevitably it's a mathematical kind of relationship between different parts. And it has to do with balance. It has to do with, for example, Google golden ratio. You'll find probably something like a a shell and different quadrants put over it, and they kind of consistently get smaller at like a rate that you can kind of almost identify. Like you see the patterning and how it's changing and getting smaller. So like some people might call it spiral symmetry, and then that's sometimes a little bit different. But the idea is that like things that somehow are built upon this golden ratio, human beings just naturally gravitate towards. They think they look aesthetically pleasing, and they're just like interested in them. They're eye-catching. They're, it's a design concept. It's a musical concept. There's been proven examples of, there's that Dissect podcast where, what's his name?
Cole Kushner. Which thanks Cole Kushner for the idea for this podcast.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely like a Song Explorer or Dissect kind of thing.
Yeah.
He talks about the golden ratio with Olivia Rodrigo, right?
It's a Driver's License song.
Driver's License, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason that song is so popular. It's kind of interesting. I'll link that little video to this so that you guys can see.
Yeah, you could do a little floaty thing.
I know that there's a lot of Bach music which can be analyzed as to somehow unfolding into the golden ratio. I don't know it off the top of my head.
And I remember a lecture from undergrad where one of my professors to talk about Sunken Cathedral having a golden ratio, and like
Debussy.
There's by Debussy, there's Claude Debussy, there's a programmatic aspect to that piece too, so it fits a narrative too, kind of.
It could have support also. I think initially at the beginning we were talking about how some of your just from jump, you're like, the ending needs to be longer. You had some fundamental desire and instinct to balance it out. Have this like, okay, if we just had this like, we're being bashed over the head for like this amount of time, we want to maybe balance that out by the ratio of a third.
Because you think of it like the same amount doesn't necessarily feel balanced because we've already been taxed by that amount of time.
Yeah.
So there's like this perfect amount of time where it's just long enough to be like enjoying what's new, but not too long to be like, well, I don't need that much of it, right? But not too short, being like, but that was just there. What is that thing that you just showed me?
Totally.
Right. So it's this perfect kind of balance. What's really interesting about the golden ratio is like when we think about that instinctive relationship that you're saying that I maybe have had in that moment, like it's tied to like evolution. There are some theories that think that the golden ratio maybe have resulted like things that incorporated the golden ratio physically in their structure of their, I don't know, again, whether it's plants or animals or anything, like had a competitive advantage, right? And that just over time in evolution, we just got like predisposed to being kind of biased to like that because of just the repeated appearance, right?
Yeah.
And then we talk about in design and art, like there's you can look at the snail with or the shell with that, but you can also look at just design, good looking design, and you're just like, that looks great, like what? And then or like a film, a shot from a film that's just like a still, and sometimes you can superimpose the little golden ratio, like little square things, and be like, wow, it's kind of...
Isn't that the rule of thirds?
It's like rule of thirds. It's kind of taking off of that, right? And exactly, there's these biological and evolutionary things that are just like, it's just ingrained in us. And there's a lot of different, theories as to different symbols and different emotional kind of things and proportions, and again, it is mathematical. So we might even see it in things that are structurally sound. And, there's a lot of like things that are, surely there's people who have studied this kind of concept of golden ratio more than we're just talking about it. But to kind of draw on that surface level, there's something to be said about like, we're in the fourth song of a 13 song record. So we're 1/3 of the way in too. So now that's the opposite direction, but I think there's something to be said about like where we are and what's going on there. The first 2/3 is like we're hitting people over the head with this cacophonous craziness, and the last third is just distinctively more chill. You know what I mean? It's very, very oppositional there.
Yeah. And like even further, it's like distinctly more chill, but how? Well, drums take a backseat for the first time. The vocal repetitious. Is definitely the center point, which, arguably it should be always, but I know that we're both music listeners who maybe are a little bit more intrigued by the actual music and melodies that are going on rather than just like the lyrical content or whatever. But that's a flip, right? Because at this section of the song, the lyrics should be more at the forefront. I like these lyrics more. You know,
Yeah.
whereas before it's like, yes, that's the truth and I'll keep them because that's just what was going on. These are more like, they're more thought out, they're more intentional. They're really conveying what was going on. You know, like the first half, it's kind of harkening back to Echoes. Like we've grown since Echoes. We're aware of certain things. Like I can admit to myself, which admitting, number one, is growth. You know, I'm admitting that I'm playing a game of make believe, like being in this relationship, trying to convince myself that it's a good thing. I'm able to recognize that I'm weaving dishonesty and all these things when I'm not being straightforward and I'm hinting at things, literally Echoes.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing that I'm doing it purposely, maybe not fully understanding why am I doing these things? Like why can't I just be the opposite, which is open and honest? And I realize that me, myself, and I am fading away the more that I pretend to be someone else that I'm not, you know? So we have it. I mean, that's really important stuff. So having that be the forefront and having everything take a step back so that we can receive that message is important. But then we get into this lyric that said, uncovered and open I could never be. And I repeat it a ton of times, which I wonder if there's some golden ratio there. We could look into that. Like how much of that first part was just being
within itself.
Yeah. And then this like actually more I'm focusing on
2/3 actually. It's fine.
I know. I'm curious. Someone can do that. But yeah.
And I think so there's a comment to say about like, okay, all the instrumentation underneath this vocal.
Right.
It's growing at a very gradual pace now. Like the string melody the first time is just cello. Then we just add one more string instrument in unison. So it's like sneaky, right? And it picks up. And then we add I think it goes up from cello, viola, then violin 2, then violin 1. And then they're coming in maybe different octaves, different places. But it's all unison. It's exact octave unison now. Whereas before this texture was rhythmic and there was counterpoint and polyphony and different things, you know, overlapping. This is just like straight down the middle, unison strings.
Yeah.
Same thing with the piano. It's just like piano progression is just happening. The synth chord progression is just blocky and repetitious. You know, the bass is following it very simply, and it starts to embellish a bit as it goes on. So the
same
bass
with the
is
keys.
getting and the keys
kind of.
I remember that was a tricky thing.
It was. I had help.
Like to get from how do you keep interest, right? Like how do you keep interest this whole time
without growing,
but without growing too much? There's a little bit of direction,
right?
But and without also adding too much too quickly or being too dense ideologically. Yeah,
man, I'll never forget that. That one was stressing me out. And then this was one of the rare times where I brought it to you. I stayed up until like 4 or 5 in the morning doing it, and then you're like, yeah, exactly it. And I was like, no way.
My God, that's funny.
I was like, surely I didn't do a good job.
Surely I'm not that good. Hilarious. Give yourself more credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the personality of the drums, again, as we said, is very different, right? It's not drums and bass anymore. It's more of this relaxed rock kind of thing with a fatter snare drum sound, different drum even. I think I used a different effect on the drum. And, the pattern is different. We have the snare drum is repetitious, but it's not so predictable either still, so we are still trying to balance that salience vertically and keep those things kind of just keep those things balanced so that way we can maintain interest. Then we get to the outro, right, which is after all this kind of exploration and departure, it's just like it's kind of like the beginning, but it's also not, right? There's no wind chimes. There's no synth. It's like simpler. And I think that's that purity of like the self-sabotage just being like,
yeah,
all right, here I am.
And we do have the presence of that little synth lead line that we got after the first chorus, but it's a little defeated, of course. Yeah. This is not a victory song.
Yeah.
This is definitely not. This is like, you tried, but it was a little too hard, So, I mean, that synthesizer could be representative of the main character, I would say.
100%. 100%.
And then I'm absolutely obsessed and always will be with this little postlude.
I don't even know what got into me with that.
I don't know either. I mean, funny enough,
how it came about.
I try to imagine the song ending without it, And there is something that feels wrong about that too.
Yeah.
Especially if you really zoom out. We're about to get into the last song of this first chapter, which is Willing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a beast and a half.
Yeah.
So
this is like maybe a breath before that.
it does feel like that. But either way, it was so cool when you showed that to me. What did you do? You took your phone and you just recorded
Yeah, I think it was, I recorded
just the Rhodes. Or did you use some version of like a raw track or something?
Let me go back to this real quick and just see.
But he did some like hip hop shit. Oh, from the first demo. It's done purposely.
Yeah, so listen to what's back, but underneath the vocals, this is the part that used to be where the sort of outro chorus bridge type, whatever you want to call it, so not chorus, bridge outro thing was. And you listen to the
dishonesty and
Right.
all the hidden like words I paint in lines drawn far too faint to
So it's this next section.
It's done purposely, but all I'm trying to scream uncovered openly. I surrender to you, surrender to.
Right, and then it starts to pick all this energy up again, and we were like, no.
Right.
But there was just something in here that I just cropped out because there was something about it that I think was nice, and I think, oh, I'm just going to save that. I don't know. And then it turned into this.
No, what this is part of the. This is my new take. The Rhodes part
Mixed with the other one.
No, it's totally new. You just took my Rhodes part from one of the iterations of the bridge, and then added the piano hemiola, which we actually buried and took away. It's not a very prominent part. Whereas
Yeah, you can hear it in the outro.
In the beginning, when I had this song,
That
and
piano thing was
it was
loud.
really, really, really.
Yeah, you can hear it here. It's
Yeah.
it's this thing.
Right. It's not even super piano-y.
And over earlier, you might be able to hear it here.
Yeah.
Right, you kind of you get it, but it's double,
Right.
and it comes back here too.
Yeah.
Right, just a little subtle layer in there, and then in the outro,
It's like, hey, that whole thing was there the whole time.
it's gonna come in a second. Right, you can kind of hear it just hiding, right? And it'll come back again. Again, there's panning automation and right there it is. It's sneaking in, right? So it's this little just like ear candy, and then right, it was the drums and the Rhodes that part from before, and then I re-recorded it through an iPhone and brought it back
And then looped
in,
it.
and then looped it, and then there was like a bass loop from somewhere.
Yeah.
That I just also threw under that. So that's all that is. It's just two audio regions. Is that whole outro.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and fun fact, there's actually like a pitch correction plugin on that sample. So like a tuner that you'd put on like a vocal, like an auto tune.
Why?
Because of the way that it affects the audio there, like it gives it this
interesting.
really interesting kind of quality. Like I wonder if I just even take that off. See how it feels very straight, and we do this, it gives it this warble. You can really hear it there. Right?
Yeah.
Right? It just gives it this kind of, this
Yeah.
older feel, or this kind of like lower quality kind of feel.
Yeah. The more I think about it, I think this outro section is necessary because it's like, that saying, new levels, new devils.
No.
Oh, I love that. I think
No.
it's stupid, but it's perfect.
I don't know what
you
that
know,
is.
it's like as soon as you get to a new higher place, there's new problems and challenges that arrive with it. It's almost
okay. Gotcha.
yeah,
That makes sense.
It's almost like, okay, morning light, speck of dust, something needs to change. I don't know what it is. Let's do it. Echoes, I'm blissfully, mostly blissfully unaware of any sort of problem. This is a step forward because we're starting to be able to acknowledge the things that are wrong, and there's kind of no turning back. Like someone rips
Yes.
that Band-Aid off, you can't just go back to your like ignorance is bliss thing. It just feels like a moment of sitting in that. It's
Yeah.
like, damn, like of course I can't give up
Mm-hmm.
because I would just be so unhappy forever because I have enough knowledge now that I can't go back.
Yeah.
But I also don't really want to go forward.
Yeah.
And
I think
this
it's this ladder. You're up, 2 steps forward,
Yeah.
1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah, and you're just two and one, do you say?
Oh, 2 and 1, do I say?
The golden ratio.
Returns.
Yeah, I think that it's just kind of a moment of sitting in this kind of like muck.
Yeah.
It's not foolish shit,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like green grass either.
Yeah.
So I think it's just kind of like it's grappling between the dualities, what it really is. It's just we're really hitting that idea home.
From a salience perspective too, it's like the exact same thing looped over and over again. It's completely different than everything that's happened almost on this record, right?
Right.
It's just like, it's just a verbatim, like exactly verbatim.
Mm-hmm.
And that extreme familiarity really kind of like
Yeah.
breaks things down to their
Right.
core.
Yeah. And then I love that it just fades out and it kind of keeps you like unsure, like what's next?
Vox, like the news outlet, like
Mm-hmm.
the article, I don't know, what do you call it, media platform.
Mm-hmm.
They have a really great video on like the psychology of fade outs, like
Ooh.
musical fade outs. Like, go find that video. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like, it talks about why using a fade out is actually a very strong decision. It's not just like a cop out. Some people think, just fade it out at the end. Like, it's actually really interesting. You're kind of pushing that music into the ethos. Like, it almost feels infinite, right? It continues. It's like, where does it end, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh
I
my
think
gosh! And did we have so many discussions about how what is the tapering
exact
and
length,
like
how long after?
Yeah.
Remember, we went to Chris's studio.
totally.
And
we
we were
asked
listening
so many people.
through.
We're like, is this too long? Is it not too long?
Speaking of Chris's studio,
Oh yeah.
repping. Yeah.
We recorded all the strings at
All the
our good
strings.
friend
Yeah.
Chris Lideckers.
Chris Lidecker.
I'm wearing his sweatshirt. Go the shop.
Fantastic human being.
Mm-hmm.
But you remember, you guys, you kind of outruled me. I was like,
did.
I like.
You
I
want
like
things to be longer.
I want more time. I want patience. I want to live in something, and I want to just like be okay with waiting. I think people are always in a rush artistically, right? To leave things. I do like this end result, but I was like, I should wait just a little longer before it comes in, right?
Yeah.
But both Chris and Cass are like, no, a little earlier. No, a little earlier. Yeah. Okay, right there.
Yeah.
Right.
We both totally
that
agreed.
exact breath that needs to happen between when the song tapers and that sneaks right in.
Yeah.
It's basically, the way you guys heard it is that there really isn't a full breath. It's kind of like
Right.
it sends it off and then allows the song to end, which I kind of like. That pushes the energy more.
Yeah.
I saw it more as kind of like an afterthought, which is sort of different, right?
Right.
But yeah, exactly. The length, how long it takes for it to go
Yeah.
away. These little details. This is all over this record. That's the kind of things we're thinking about.
We'll find that video and link it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we covered a lot about how this song fits in with our narrator versus codependency thread. I mean, we had two things, the voice and the strings, and our Dementor character as codependency. Like, we talked a lot about it. But, okay, the narrator is now conscious and identifies codependency.
Yeah.
We're acknowledging the enemy.
Yeah. Codependency is the enemy.
Yeah.
I need to fight that thing, but like, what ammunition do I need? What's their setup? Like, what do they have? I don't.
Do you know what it feels like? It's like when you're in like a fantasy war or something, and it's like your fairies on this island or continent, and then you learn about your opposing enemy that lives across the sea.
Yeah, right. You have some kind of like,
that's like a different
spy that's gone over and like
it's like a
figured
different
shit out.
species. Like you haven't
Yeah.
even met it face to face, really.
Yeah.
You've just learned of it.
Yes.
It's like I can identify you and I know who you are and what you are,
Right.
kind of, but not even really if you're a different
And maybe
species
not
than
even
me.
that it's fully the bad guy yet, but like you think
Sure,
it's an enemy.
it
Maybe
could
the
be.
hunch is that it's an enemy
Yeah.
too, which is like interesting.
Yeah. So that's our narrator versus codependency thread. Our change thread is ultimately change is too hard and intimidating right now.
What we've been talking about, even since we talked about the song's narrative purpose at the
Yeah.
beginning of this episode, right?
Yeah,
Change
and-
is too hard.
And overwhelmed. Like it's like I can't go back, but I can't really go forward.
Yeah.
What the heck?
The truth can suck sometimes.
Does it?
Yeah. Truth can really suck
No way.
sometimes.
Yeah. And that's still kind of it.
Yeah. For those of you wondering about the tool thread, if you followed it after the intro episode,
Right.
we still
We
don't have any
yet.
of those yet to help our character out.
Yeah. Sad.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what are the key takeaways from this episode? I think
Takeaway time.
I think there's a lot. You know, we went narrative, we went musical, but you know, one thing we talked about earlier on is like when you're stuck, you know, use things that are there. String arrangement relates to the BGVs. You know, we use some of the drums that are there to inspire the feeling. You know, this loop at the end is from something that's before. Like, what do we do to end this song? Does it feel like it's landing kind of flat? I don't even know why, if this just was there because like, I heard this thing, or if it was like, it feels like it needs something and I was searching for something. I'm not sure, but if I did, then here it was. It was material that was already existent.
Yeah. Totally. I agree. There's a bunch of good stuff we could go on.
I think another
forever.
key takeaway is just like
Golden
get hip
ratio.
to the golden ratio and like see what happens when you try to intentionally craft it. But also maybe you don't need to because just follow your instinct sometimes, and it may be trying to lead you that direction.
Right. Another thing that I like to think about is if you have intuition and then you can support it with some external factor. Why do you want the bridge to be longer? Well, not just because my instinct says so, I can back it up with this phenomenon.
Yes, and this is something that we'll talk about a lot on the whole podcast, is this idea of instinct and informed instinct as a composer, training your instinct, as a songwriter, training your instinct, but also as you become more experienced, sometimes like, you know, you get into scenarios where you don't have the time to like seek out why your instinct is feeling that way, but it's like, well, I've trained my instinct. Here's a
Yes.
bunch of ways that I've trained my instinct, so I'm just going to have this instinct and I just need you to trust me. And that,
Yeah.
as a producer, sometimes is a place that I get myself into a lot, where I'm just like, trust me, this needs to change. And I could try to break it down for you right now, but we don't need, just like, it just needs to be that
Yeah.
way. It's like, you know, the more experienced someone is that does a trade or that does any sort of job, it's like, they don't always have to just explain themselves
Right.
around every corner. It's just
Right.
like, no, this is just how it has to do. And you believe them because they're a carpenter or
Yeah.
they are your surgeon or a doctor. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I believe you because you know. So that developing that trust, though, is difficult in the arts because a lot of people have opinions. Like
Right.
anyone can be an artist, really. Like anyone can't be a surgeon. Like you
Right.
can't just be like, oh yeah, I'll just operate on people.
Right.
But you can pick up a guitar, you can sing, a lot of people, right, who have not spent time developing their intuition choose to do that. And it's kind of interesting to get into those conversations. Sometimes I find myself trying to be like, I need to be inherently respectful
Right.
of artists' places when they're coming from these places of their own intuition. So how can we meet in the middle and find these opportunities that lead us to something like this?
Yeah, totally. I think that's it. I think we're clear.
I think we're clear. We've said enough.
We've said enough. Yeah, so welcome to the last song of chapter 1, Willing, coming at you next.
Willing's coming next, and boy, is that a doozy.
Oh, man. You know what? I'm happy. You look back on life, and sometimes you say, man, I wish I could go back to that time. Do you know what I don't wish I could go back to? Figuring out Willing.
Oh, my God.
I'm glad that we did it. It was great. But, like, every time I think of that song, I'm just like, I'm so glad we reached the conclusion that we did. Oh, my God, was it hard.
Yeah. Art can be hard sometimes.
Hurt.
Hurt. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
See
Well-
you over there.
Bye-bye.
Toodles.